Yeah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإن التعليم والتعليم وتذكر التفكير ونفع الانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير وإعطاء وجه الله وحب الباطل وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يقول المصنف رحمه الله تعالى: إمامنا وشيخنا وبركتنا الإمام الحداد حداد القلوب. ثم إن الحسد في كتابه آداب سلوك المريد قال: نفعنا الله بعلمه وعلوم سائر الصالحين في الدارين آمين. ثم إن الحسد قد يكون على أمور الدنيا كالجاه والمال، وهي أصغر من أن يحسد عليها، بل ينبغي لك أن ترحم من ابتلي بها وتحمد الله الذي عافاك منها. وقد يكون على أمور الآخرة كالعلم والصلاح، وقبيح بالمريد أن يحسد من وافقه على طريقه وعاونه على أمره، بل ينبغي له أن يفرح به لأنه صار عونا له وجنسا يتقوى به. والمؤمن كثير بأخيه، بل الذي ينبغي للمريد أن يحب بباطنه ويجتهد بظاهره في جمع الناس على طريق الله والاشتغال بطاعته، ولا يبالي أفضلوه أم فضلهم، فإن ذلك رزق من الله، وهو سبحانه وتعالى يختص برحمته من يشاء. وفي القلب أخلاق كثيرة مذمومة لم نذكرها حرصا على الإيجاز، وقد نبهنا على أمهاتها، وأم الجميع وأصلها ومغرسها حب الدنيا، فحبها رأس كل خطيئة كما ورد. وإذا سلم القلب منه فقد صلح وصفى وتنور وطاب وتأهل لواردات الأنوار وصلح للمكاشفة للأسرار.
As for resentful envy, it is manifest enmity to God and clear opposition to him in his kingdom. When God the Exalted bestows gifts on some of his servants, it's evidence that this is what he has chosen for them and wishes them to receive, for none forces his hand. If the servant wants something different from what his Lord wants, he's discourteous and deserves the count of grief. Things of this world, such as prestige and wealth, are subject to resentful envy, both of which are too insignificant to be deemed enviable. On the contrary, you should pity those who have been afflicted with them and thank God for sparing them. However, envy can also target things associated with the hereafter, such as knowledge and virtue. It's ugly in a disciple to be jealous and resent a companion who follows the same path and is giving him help. On the contrary, he should rejoice for the help he receives from him and derive strength from the fact that they are alike. A believer finds strength in his brother. What a disciple should do is inwardly desire and outwardly act to gather people to tread together the path of God and be active in his obedience. He should not care whether they become better than him or he better than them, for this is granted by God, and he, Jalla Jalaluhu, selects whom he will for his mercy. There are many other blameworthy qualities of the heart, which we have not mentioned for the sake of brevity. We have only cautioned against their major sources. The origin, foundation, and root of them all is love of this world. Its love is the head of every sin, as has been transmitted. When the heart is free from it, it becomes healthy and clear, enlightened and fragrant, fit to receive the lights and have the secrets unveiled to it.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقرة عيننا سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وبعد, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gave us the tawfiq to gather tonight.
Allah.
In this gathering to study and to read the book Adab Suluk al-Murid, which is written by one of the greatest Imams with the Ummah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Al-Habib Abdullah Muhammad bin Alawi bin Muhammad al-Haddad, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, is one of the great pillars of the Alawi tariqah, and the great pillars of the Sharia in general. He is a profound scholar from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And subhanAllah, he lost his sight at the age of 4 years old. When he was only a baby, he lost his sight. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the inner sight of the seerah. And one thing that he said was that ما من سنة سنها أو عمل بها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلا وأرجو أني قد عملت بها. That there is not a single sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ except that I have done it.
Subhanallah.
You know, and the scholars, whenever they wanted to praise someone, they would say, كان شديد المتابعة لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Whenever they wanted to praise someone, they would say that he is extremely, he follows the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. شديد المتابعة لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. They weren't praising about, oh, he's a hafid, oh, he's a qari, oh, he's a faqih. They would say, that person, شديد المتابعة لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He would follow the Prophet ﷺ as much as he can, because that is the assess. That is the ultimate goal. The Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent the Quran with Jibreel, and that's it. You know, this is the Quran, this is the guidance, follow. Like he sent the Prophet ﷺ with the Quran so that he can be our guide. And everything the Prophet ﷺ did was profound. Everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He does not speak normal. His speech is wahy, his speech is revolution. So alhamdulillah that we gather today, this 21st century, studying this book. You all came from far, so alhamdulillah. مكانكم تكتب آثاركم. The Prophet said to one of the families that wanted to move closer to the masjid so that they can pray next to the masjid. And he told them, no, stay at your places. مكانكم تكتب آثاركم. As far as you are, and when you come to the masjid, you get more rewards. And you all came from far, alhamdulillah. And you came for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the sake of studying this ilm, this science. علم التزكية. علم التزكية, علم الأخلاق, علم التصوف, has many names, but it is part of the deen. Deen is the first hadith that the scholars teach their students is called hadith Jibreel. It's called al-Sunnah, just like how the Fatiha is called al-Quran, the mother of the Quran, because they say the secrets of the Quran, the secrets of Kalamullah in general, is gathered in the Quran, because there's many books that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed before the Prophet his revelation. There was the Injil, there was the Torah, there was the Zabur, there was Suhuf Ibrahim. There's many revelations that came. Al-Khulasa, the summary of it, is in the Quran. And the summary of the Quran is in the Fatiha. And the Fatiha, the summary of the Fatiha is in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. SubhanAllah. And so, and the summary of the Fatiha is in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and the summary of the Basmala is in the Ba. SubhanAllah. Anyhow, the Fatiha is called al-Quran. And there's a hadith of Hadith Jibreel that's called Sunnah. Right? It's a hadith when Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam wearing a white cloth. This hadith is sahih. It's narrated by Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab. The Prophet ﷺ was sitting with his Sahaba, with his companions, and Sayyidina Jibreel came asking the Prophet ﷺ, and if you have time, inshallah, and reflect upon this hadith, teaches us how, it teaches us many things. One of the things is that it teaches us is how the student should ask. right? How the student should ask. When Sayyidina Musa, we read in Surah Al-Kahf every Friday, when Sayyidina Musa asked Khidr alayhi salam, can you teach me? Right? Sayyidina Khidr is not a prophet, he's a righteous, he's a wali. Like Sayyidina Musa is a prophet, and not only a prophet, but he is Ulul Azmi min al-Rusul, right? One of the Ulul Azmi min al-Rusul, the Kalimullah. You know, the way he asked Sayyidina Khidr is, can you please teach me something? You know, the way he asked in the verse, it's not, can you just teach me? It's like, can you please, can you kindly teach me a portion of what you were taught? Right? And you see, Jibreel, the way he asked the Prophet, same thing. He came and he sat the way the Jalsat al-Iftirash, they say, you know, how you sit down between the two sujuds, between the two prostrations in Salah, that's how he sat down. And in a riwayah, his knees were touching the knees of the Prophet.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
And he asked him, he said, Ya Rasulullah, right? Teach me, what is Islam? Right? And the Prophet told him what Islam was. And then he said, Sadaqta, you have told the truth. And the Sahaba, they were all the companions, they were shocked. You were asking, and then you were also confirming. And then he said, teach me, what is Iman, what is faith? And he said, the 6 pillars of the faith. تؤمن بالله وملائكته ورسله وكتبه واليوم الآخر وبالقضاء خيره وشره من الله تعالى. صدقت. You have told the truth. And then he says, الإحسان. Right? أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه إن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. That's to worship Allah. What is ihsan? What is perfection? Is this knowledge, this science we are studying right now? The science of ihsan. And to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. Right? You don't see Him, you verily know that He sees you at all times. He sees you at all times, right? So this right now, what he's teaching us right now, what Imam Haddad is preaching, he said, "Inna al-hasada, the enviness, right? To remove our hearts from enviness, that helps us, that assists us in getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That helps us in perfecting our devotion, our ibadah. Because these are all sicknesses and diseases of the heart. And I mentioned in the previous lesson that the diseases of the heart, or the sicknesses or the sins of the heart, are much, much, much more worse than the sins of the other limbs. Right? Like enviness and hasad. And very, this is the first sin that was sinned. Right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded all the angels to bow down to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, Iblis denied to bow down. Why? Out of hasad. Ana khayru minhu, I am better than him. Right? So he's saying to us, ثم إن الحسد قد يكون على أمور الدنيا. You can have envy towards your fellow brother or your fellow sister. In regards to things that are, to do with this dunya, this worldly affairs. Kaljah, wal-mal, it's like someone is wealthier than you, so you have envy. What is hasad? Hasad is tamanni zawal al-ni'mah, is to wish that blessing is removed from that person.
Allah.
That is the definition of having hasad, of enviness, is to wish that blessing is removed from that person. So someone, for instance, he's a wealthy person, right? Or he owns a nice house, or he owns a nice car. You wish, why does he have it? What makes him better? Why don't I have it? So you wish that blessing is taken or removed. That is why it's a great sin, because you are now not against that person, you are against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gave him that blessing. It's like as if you're saying, Allah, you are unjust, you are unfair. What you did is not justice. Why did you give that person such a thing? Right, that's why it's a great sin. And the medicine, the dawa, is to, if it's if you wanted to say, oh Allah, just like how you gave him, give me.
No.
Oh Allah, أنت القادر على كل شيء.
لا
You
إله
Allah, you are capable of it. Just like how you gave him, give me. Alhamdulillah, خلاص. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, other al-awliya, right? The everlasting rich, everlasting wealthy, everything belongs to him, right? Sayyidina the Nur al-Masri, one of the saints, he was with his student once, it was in Arafah. And he said to his student, you see all these people in the mountain of Arafah, it was Hajj, Al-Hajj Arafah, and everyone's in the mountain. All these people, they're begging and they're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're crying. If all of them, all together, were to come to you and to ask you all their demands, was equivalent to nus dirham. Like, for instance, $1, let's say $1. All of them together, not each and every one of them is asking for $1. No, all of them together, they're asking for whatever they're asking for is equivalent to $1. Would you hesitate in giving them that $1? And they would all share that $1. Would you hesitate in giving them that $1? He said, of course not. He said, all of them, whatever they're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is less than the $1 compared to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns. He owns everything. Right? Malik al-Muluk. Right? له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. Many times he told them, سبح لله له ملك السماوات والأرض. Right? So ask him. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar bin al-Khattab. Right? He is the son of Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab, the second Khalifa. He had a son. Right? He's a Sahabi. Sayyidina Abdullah is a Sahabi, and Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab is also a Sahabi. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar ibn Khattab had a son named Salim. Salim is a Tabi'i. Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar ibn Khattab. Salim bin Abdullah, Sayyidina Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar, which is a Tabi'i, was once in the Sahn al-Kaaba, in the Tawaf, in the Haram, in the Maqam. And he was doing his Tawaf when أحد الخلفاء العباسيين, one of the sultans, the caliphates of the Abbasi Khalifa, saw him and noticed his rank and said to him, Ya Salim, ask me whatever you want. It's the king talking to him. It's like the whole sultan, right? The president. He said to him, ask me whatever you want. And Sayyidina Salim responded and replied, أنا في بيت الله. I'm in the house of Allah.
Allah.
Right? I'm in the house of Allah. I'm in the house of Allah. I don't ask anyone other than Allah.
Subhanallah.
Right? And the Kaaba is called Baytullah. Right? All the houses are called Baytullah. All the mosques, all the masajids are كلهم Baytullah. Right? They're all houses of Allah. But the Kaaba, right, is a masjid, right, that Allah chose it to be a masjid.
Subhanallah.
That's what makes it the house of Allah. All the other mosques, we chose them we chose to make the mosque. We said this is the waqf, right, and we will make it a mosque. So bikhtiyarina, right? But the Kaaba is bikhtiyarina. Even the Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina was bikhtiyar Sayyidina Rasulullah
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
and Haram al-Aqsa, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them ease.
Ameen.
People of Al-Aqsa. It's also a masjid and it's a muqaddas, it's a sacred masjid, but it's also humans chose it to make it a masjid, except for the Kaaba.
Subhanallah.
It's the only mosque that is a mosque bikhtiyar, right? So he said, I'm in the house of Allah. I will not ask other than Allah. So the Sultan said, okay, no problem, inshallah. After he finished his tawaf, he saw him again. He said, okay, Ya Salim, now you have finished your tawaf, we are outside the haram, we are outside the masjid, ask me whatever you want. And he said, من مطالب الدنيا أم من مطالب الآخرة? Do you want me to ask you this worldly affairs or the hereafter, the akhirah affairs? He said, I'm just a human being. I have no control over the akhirah affairs. But ask me whatever you want of this dunya, and I will, I will respond or answer you accordingly. I will give you whatever you want. And he said, أما الدنيا, right? As for this worldly affairs, إني لم أسألها من خالقها. I haven't asked it from its creator.
Subhanallah.
And you want me to ask it from its, from you, from its creation, right? Because the dunya, like he's saying in al-Hadab right here, ثم إن الحسد قد يكون على أمور الدنيا وهي أصغر من أن يحسد عليها. As you have to feel pity, you are jealous of this world because he has a better house, because he has a better car. You should be ashamed of yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the moment in another hadith, He created it, He didn't look at it. Right? Because it is not Dar Maqar, like they say, it's Darul Mamar. It's not a place where you should stay, it's only a place where you should walk through. Right? It's a passage. Right? It's a punishment place. We were made for the Jannah. That's our home. Adam came here as a punishment. Right? Right? If you reflect on that. This place is only because Adam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him because he forgot. Right? فَنَسِيَ Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that he forgot. That is where the word insan comes from. Insan, in the Arabic language, human being, or mankind is called insan. It comes from the root word nasiya. It comes from the root word nasiya, he forgot. Adam forgot. And that's why, alhamdulillah, we are not held accountable if we forget. In fact, even one of the excuses of the salah, Adab Suluk, is forget. One of them is to forget. If you forgot, you will not be held accountable. Anyhow, he says, كالجاه والمال وهي أصغر من أن يحسد عليها بل ينبغي أن ترحم من ابتلي بها. In fact, you should rather have some sort of compassion and mercy towards someone that has the dunya. If you see someone that's wealthier than you, if you see someone that's richer than you, if you see someone that's that owns, you should feel pity for him, and you should feel you should have some compassion towards him. Why? Because حلالها حساب وحرامها عقاب. This dunya, the halal of it is حساب. Okay, the questions of finance, the financial questions in Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's two questions. من أين اكتسبته وفيما أنفقته. Where did you get it from?
Allah.
And how did you spend it?
La ilaha.
That's why the fuqara يدخلون الجنة قبل الأغنياء ب500 سنة. The poor people that will enter Jannah, that are written to enter Jannah, will enter it before the rich people that are written to enter Jannah. ب500 سنة, 500 years. Not 500 years of this dunya, 500 years of the akhirah. وإن يوما عند ربك كألف سنة مما تعدون. And a day of a judgment day, one day is considered to 1,000, is or equivalent to 1,000 years of this dunya. So 1,000 times 500. That's why the last prophet that will enter Jannah is Sayyidina Sulaiman. Sayyidina Sulaiman is the last prophet that will enter Jannah. Kama fil ahadith. Why? Because he was a prophet and a king. Right? He owned the entire world. Nobody today owns the entire world. Yet he owned the entire world. SubhanAllah gave him the al-Murid kingdoms. قد يكون على أمور الآخرة كالعلم والصلاح. And it could also be, you could have jealousy or enviness towards your fellow brother in regards to something that has to do with the akhirah, right? كالعلم والصلاح. You see someone that's more knowledgeable than you. You see you have a co-worker or a co-student, and you see, oh, they're wiser, they're smarter, right? So you have jealousy. Why are they smarter? Why are they getting straight A's, right? Okay? Or a salah, that they are righteous, they're more righteous than you, right? So you have jealousy towards them. And that's also ugly, he says. قبيح بالمريد, it's ugly that the seeker, the murid, the seeker that's seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's path, has jealousy towards someone that is also on the same path. You and them, right? You're in the same path. Why do you have jealousy for them? You both share the same goal. Right? لأن المؤمن كثير بأخيه. The believer is a lot with his brother. Right? Sayyidina Ya'qub alayhi salam, when he spoke to his sons, he had 12 sons, right? Including Sayyidina Yusuf. Yusuf is a Kareem, Ibn al-Kareem, Ibn al-Kareem, Ibn al-Kareem, they say. He's a prophet, son of a prophet, son of a prophet, son of a prophet. Yusuf bin Ya'qub bin Ishaq bin Ibrahim. Right? Sayyidina Ya'qub, what he told his sons was, he said he told each and every son to grab a stick. Right? They all went and they grabbed sticks. And he said, he told each and every one of them to break that stick, and they easily broke it. So he said, grab another stick, and they all went to grab sticks. He said, now give me all 12 sticks together, and then now try to break it. And they couldn't break it. Why? Because now it's thicker, right? And it's all together. And he said, that's exactly how you guys are. And if you guys are together, you'll be strong together. But if you are alone, right? The wolf eats the sheep that's alone, right? Exactly. So you should not have jealousy or enemies towards them, but you should help each other, because you are both in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have wolves, right? Wolves around. You have the dunya, you have the shaitan, you have Iblis, you have the jajila, kathira, right? So you should, in fact, help each other. In fact, one of the medicines of this is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you solve this problem? Right? You have enviness towards, nobody's perfect. It comes in the heart, either disease of the heart, whispers. Shaitan comes and whispers. What helps is that you pray and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase blessings upon that person. Now, you see someone who has a better house, you see someone is wealthier than you. Oh Allah zidhu. Allah increase them in their health.
Allah.
And that is a ilaj. That is a ilaj. بل ينبغي له أن يفرح به لأنه صار نعم. بل الذي ينبغي للمريد أن يحب بباطنه ويجتهد بظاهره في جمع الناس على طريق الله. It's upon the seeker to love for people goodness, to love good for the people, right? To love the good for the people, whether it's good in this akhirah, in this dunya, and good in the akhirah. You want the good for everyone, right? وأن يجتهد بظاهره في جمع الناس على طريق الله. And to gather people towards the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your aim is to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your aim, whether it's however you're capable of doing it. If you have some sort of some portion of knowledge, to spread it. You have you're working. You see your co-workers, to act upon what you know, right? العلم يهتف بالعمل فإن أجابه وإن ارتحل, right? To act upon it. How to show people the true Islam.
La ilaha
To show people true Islam, how do you show them that? In your daily interaction, smiling to them, showing them your good character and your good manners, right? Many of the non-Muslims in the time of the Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan became Muslims. الفتوحات انتشرت. They say the Fath al-Islami because when the Prophet ﷺ انتقل إلى الرفيق الأعلى, the first Khalifa was Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he was working in gathering Muslims together and strengthening the brotherhood, the Islamhood. He was strengthening because a lot of people والعياذ بالله left the deen, and it's called, he was فتوحات, or he was أهل الردة, قتال أهل الردة. Why? Because they denied giving zakat. Zakat is معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. It's a necessity of the deen, right? So and he was a Khalifa for only 2 years. Then after that, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab انتشرت في سيدنا عمر الخطاب الفتوحات الإسلامية. In the time of Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, many countries and people and tribes and nations were becoming Muslims, right? And in the time of Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, it also increased. They say the barakah is because of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, right? They say the barakah is because of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, because he's the one that established the base, right? Even when Sayyidina Umar said, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "Jabbarun fil jahiliyyah, jabbarun fil Islam." Right? So now before you were Muslim, you were a firm, strong, brave, courage, individual. Now that you have some sort of softness, no. This is معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. Long story short, in the time of Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, انتشرت حتى وصل إلى Europe even. Islam, right? Many of them became Muslims because they saw the interactions of Muslims, not because Muslims were preaching and teaching, but because they saw how the Muslims treat each other. They saw how the Muslims, interact with one another. They fell in love with the deen, right? الرحماء بينهم, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Sahaba. شداء على الكفار رحماء. When they are with the enemy, they don't show mercy. But when they are together, they are merciful towards each other. But even when they are with the enemy, they show mercy to the enemy unless the enemy is fighting them. We have something called kafir, and then we have something called kafir harbi. We have someone that is a non-Muslim and someone that is a kafir. And many scholars actually differentiate between the two. See, even Imam al-Ghazali differentiates, and he says that we have we have the people that have never heard of the religion before, right? People that have never heard of the religion before. Will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hold them accountable in the day of judgment? No, because they've never heard of the religion, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says, وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذَّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. We don't punish a nation unless we send out a messenger, right? That's what they call Ahl al-Fatra, people that between prophets, for example, right? And even nowadays, till in this time, in this era, people that have never heard of Islam ever, right? Will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hold them accountable? No, Allah won't hold them accountable. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kareem and Rahim, and He is Adab, He is just. He won't just punish a tribe or punish a people without them having heard or come across the message of Islam. That is all known. What about the people that heard about Islam, right? But they heard falsehood and didn't hear the true message of Islam. Right? Well, Ghazali goes on and says those people should be excused even more.
Allah.
Why? Because if you have two people, for instance, you have person A, he's never heard of Islam, but you have person B that's heard about Islam, but heard about the wrong stuff about Islam, falsehood about Islam. There's something else. Now, between these two people, which one is more, which one will accept the religion if you were to preach to both of them? من أرجح للقبول? Which of the two people would be more aligned to listen and to try to understand about the deen? Person B, all the doors are closed, locked. Like he knows what Islam is. He thinks he knows what Islam is, right? هذا جهل مركب, they say. There's a difference between jahil and jahil murakkab, right? Someone that's ignorant and someone that's ignorant, but he doesn't know he's ignorant. Right? You have someone that's ignorant, they know they're ignorant. Okay, teach me, tell me. But someone that's ignorant and he doesn't know he's ignorant, it's like someone that's sick, right? But they don't know they're sick. How will the doctor help them? Right? But if someone's sick and comes to the doctor will help them.
Allah.
They're willing to lower their walls. They're willing to open up to the doctor, and the doctor will advise. But someone that's sick and he doesn't know he's sick, how will the doctor? Or he says, "I'm not sick." Right? So similar to that, there are many people that have never heard about Islam. There are many people that heard false things about Islam. As Muslims, as seekers of this path, as people that are of ihsan, as people of Islam, people of Iman, we should call people to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we have someone that's in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How should we feel jealous to them? We're calling people to the path, or we're calling people we're keeping people outside the path. Right? So انتبه, watch out, he says. Al-mu'min haris, wants good for everyone, and he yajtahid, he does aggressive, he tries aggressively to call people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يُبَالِي أَفَضَلُوهُ أَمْ فَضَلُوهُ. He should not care whether they are better than him or not. Al-Habib Abdul Qadir ibn Hamd al-Saqaf would say, would say that in the halaqah, in the gathering, if students are in the halaqah, they're seeking the students of knowledge, the one that says, "Oh Allah," or the one that wishes that everyone in the halaqah is better than him, he's the best. Does that make sense? Okay? It says, "Oh, I want everyone to be better than me." That person is the best. He used to say that. فإن ذلك رزق من الله والله سبحانه وتعالى يختص برحمته من يشاء. Now, when you see someone that's someone that it's their time to shine, right? That's rizq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see someone that everyone's focused on them. I'm calling to Allah as well. I'm also a da'i. I'm also an imam. Why is everyone going to that person? Why is everyone going around that person? Right? No, Allah يختص برحمته من يشاء. It's Allah who chooses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does whatever He wants. He goes on and says, وَفِي الْقَلْبِ أَخْلَاقٌ كَثِيرَةٌ مَذْمُومَةٌ. And in the heart there are many manners that are negative, bad akhlaq. لم نذكرها, I have not mentioned them. حرصاً على الإيجاز, because I want to make this book simple and short. But if you want, you can look at Ihya al-Din al-Ghazali. He mentions every single one. Al-Imam al-Muhammad al-Ghazali. They say if you want to know a true sheikh from a fake sheikh, look if they like the books of Imam Ghazali. Allah or not. Because Imam Ghazali exposes them. Imam Ghazali exposes them. وَقَدْ نَبَّهْنَا عَلَى أُمَّهَاتِهَا وَأُمُّ الْجَمِيعِ. The greatest of all sins, or the mother of all sins, the biggest, influential sin, or the biggest cause of all sins. وَأَصْلُهَا, and the root of all sins, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا, is to love this dunya. Is to love the dunya. Again, notice not to own the dunya, because the prophets owned the dunya, right? Sayyidina Sulaiman owned the dunya. He owned the whole dunya. But to love the dunya, that is a sin, right? Not to own it. That's why you say, Allahumma ja'al dunya fi yadi la fi qalbi. Oh Allah, place the dunya in my hands, not in my heart, right? Is to own it, but not for it to own you. Not for it to own you. Now, Sayyidina Abu Hassan al-Shajiri, one of the great Sahib al-Tariq al-Shajiriya, he was a Sufi, right? He was a saint, he was a wali, and he was a great scholar. And he was also a very rich man, very wealthy man. They would say that his horses would walk on carpets. Even his horses would walk on carpets. And a kafir, a non-Muslim, came to him once and said, a poor beggar, said, doesn't your prophet say this dunya is a sijil for the believer and a Jannah, paradise for the non-believer? Who here now is in the paradise and who is in the Jannah? Look at me and look at you. It seems like I'm a prisoner and you're in the Jannah. And he said, no, the Prophet said, and this dunya is a prison to the believer, and it's a paradise to the non-believer. He said, how? Explain. He said, well, this situation I'm in right now, this wealthiness, this richness, this position I have, right? Compared to what I will get in the akhirah, is nothing. It's like a prison. If I die having la ilaha illallah. And your situation right now, your state, right? Compared to what you will get in the future, if you die denying Islam, right? Continue on denying Islam, then this is Jannah compared to Jahannam, right? So we should not ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to, oh Allah, why'd you give that person that? Why'd you give this person such? Well, why can't I have it? No, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever you want. Ask Him as well to not place the dunya in your heart.
Allah, la ilaha illallah.
To not place the dunya in your heart. Why is this root? Why is hubb dunya, the love of the dunya, the root cause of all sins? Is because when you're sinning, it's because you want the dunya. For instance, having hasad. If you have no love of the dunya in your heart, why would you have hasad? You just want the akhirah. Doesn't make any sense for you to have any jealousy, right? Kibr. If you want the akhirah and if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doesn't make any sense to have kibr and arrogance. Because you want the dunya. Why are you arrogant? You want, you believe you think you're better than people. Why do you have enviness? Why do you have hasad? You think that, because you want the dunya. It's simple math. Because you want the dunya, you have hasad. So that makes wanting the dunya the root sin. Does that make sense? Now, if there are any questions, please ask. وَإِذَا سَلِمَ الْقَلْبُ مِنْهُ فَقَدْ صَلَحَ وَصَفَى وَتَنَوَّرَ وَطَابَ. He says that if the heart doesn't attain the sin, the root sin, which is hubb dunya, loving the dunya, right? فَقَدْ صَلَحَ. That heart is now a sane heart. Heart is now a pure heart. صَفَى وَتَنَوَّرَ. And it's a munawwar, it's a enlightened heart, right? In fact, the Prophet ﷺ talks about this nur. He says, إِنَّ النُّورَ إِذَا دَخَلَ إِلَى الْقَلْبِ انْفَسَحَ لَهُ الصَّدْرُ وَانْشَرَحَ. Right? When the light reaches the heart, right? The chest is now it's now mashruh. Meaning that it's now a wide chest. It's now a happy chest. Right? It's a happy heart. And they asked him, Ya Rasulullah, هل لذلك من علامة is there a sign for this? Is there a sign? We want a sign. Is there a sign? Or when do we know that the heart is enlightened? When do we know that the heart is a pure heart? And he said, "Naam, التجافي عن دار الغرور." That's the first sign, is to neglect this dunya. التجافي عن دار الغرور والإنابة and to want the akhirah, and to want the akhirah, to not want this dunya and to want the akhirah. You can't have both. You can't want both. You can have both, but you can't want both. He's saying that dunya bintul akhirah, that the dunya is the daughter of the akhirah. So the akhirah is the mother, the hereafter is the mother. And he's saying, and this dunya is the daughter. If you marry the daughter, حرمت عليك الأم. It's haram for you to marry the mother.
Subhanallah.
If you know a sister and you marry her, خلاص, she's your wife, but can you marry her mother? No. And vice versa. If you know a sister, if you marry her, and for instance, she has a daughter, it's haram for you to marry the daughter. So dunya bint al-akhirah. If you get married to this dunya, khalas. Meaning, in other words, if you want and you work only for this dunya, then khalas, you wasted your akhirah. The akhirah has left you. But if you stick with the akhirah, then the dunya has left you. Actually, if you stick with the akhirah, the dunya comes along as well.
Subhanallah.
Yeah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the hadith, one of the hadith, Ya dunya, man khadamani fakhdumih, wa man khadamaki fastakhdumih. Who wants me, serve them.
Allah.
And who wants you, use them. So it's like they're chasing their shadow, they say. وتأهل بواردات الأنوار وصلح للمكاشفة بالأسرار. صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعل الدنيا في أيدينا لا في قلوبنا. We ask him that he preserves us from these diseases and protects us from these sicknesses, to place the dunya in our hands, not in our hearts. We ask him, inshallah, khair in this dunya, khair in the barzakh, khair in the akhirah, and to protect us from all evil, whether it's in this dunya, in the barzakh, and in the akhirah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله